on Jay-Z's The Black Album, 2003. Uh, I'm gonna repeat exactly what I said in last episode, the last episode. Grand opening, grand closing, but maybe this was just a grand reintroduction to Jay-Z. Thinking about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about
Yeah.
Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come was it was rough. It was a rough album.
I feel
How
like
did,
it's one of those
how did
albums that have to grow on you, though.
I agree with that. I think it's probably like perspective and age, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
going back to it, you understand the value it has, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still rough.
Yeah,
But I think it shook him up a little bit, right? Like
it
he had
definitely
it, but
did.
he didn't have it, right? He didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have it. Um, yeah.
It was also kind of like cool to see him because in that Kingdom Come, he starts collaborating a little bit away from just doing things with hip hop artists and R&B artists.
Right.
So in this one, he like collabs with um, Chris Martin from Coldplay, which I thought was cool, and they are
Told
still
Jay
really good
I had a
friends.
song with Coldplay. Next thing I know, he got a song with Coldplay.
That's exactly what was going through my mind when I started saying that. I was like, Kanye, you
I,
baby.
I didn't mean to steal your shine. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I wasn't going to say it. I was just thinking it.
Oh yeah, but you saying that you started collaborating, like diversifying his collaboration.
Absolutely. He did that album with Linkin Park,
Mm,
which was great. Well, I can't remember what it's called,
I'll
but
look
he
it
did
up.
the album with Linkin Park where they combined their songs together, and that album was dope. And then he also ended up not on Kingdom Come, but in general, he even did some song. He did a intro for Fallout Boy on one of their albums.
Cool. I didn't know that. Collision
Uh,
Course EP, Jay-Z,
Collision
Linkin Park.
Course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Let me look up the. I want to look up the Fallout Boy album.
And that actually came out in 2004. Yeah, I never really made that connection of him kind of transitioning into, I guess, different genres, like really stepping out of rap and just cross
Hmm.
collaborating through genres. I never made that connection, so that's a dope
Yeah.
perspective. Thank you, Jazzo. She actually told us. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also he did so the album with Fall Out Boy is called Infinity on High, and he did the intro for their song Thriller. And that was surprising to me because I'm a fan of Fall Out Boy, and then I heard that album and then I'm like, wait, is this Jay-Z? And it was Jay-Z. And I was like, what
Cool.
is going on? So
Is
that's
he
pretty
rapping the
cool.
intro or just like a verbal?
Spoken
Spoken. Okay.
intro. Yeah. Yeah. But definitely cool. I like to see the genres kind of like, mesh.
Yeah, I was when you brought that up, I was thinking of Afropunk. Afropunk is I'm thinking of like
Hmm.
little XXXTentacion, Juice World, and that whole era of fusion rap with rock. So yeah,
Right.
I don't know. I want now. I'm gonna like look back and think to see who else has kind of done that type of fusion work before to see like where was Afropunk birthed or influenced from. So that'd be something good to
Beyonce.
look up. Really?
I mean, Beyonce didn't and create Afropunk, but she, when she did Lemonade, she collaborated with Jack White from the White Stripes, which was that's a great song. What's it called? Everything is slipping my mind today. My brain is still on vacation mode. Hold on one second. Let me just look
So
this up real quick.
I'm just pulling it up. So Afropunk festival, annual festival that featured black music, black film, fashion, and arts by black artists.
Hmm.
I remember it being in Brooklyn, and the first festival was in 2005,
Yeah.
um, which is a year after the Collision Course album came out.
Hmm.
What year did Lemonade come out?
Lemonade came out, I think, in 2016. Yep, 2016. And the name of the song is "Don't Hurt Yourself," and she
Gotcha.
did that with Jack White. So that was really cool.
Cool, cool. Um, Jazzo, if you want to join any of our discussions, just let me know, and I'll send you the invite to join. To join. Sorry. Um, Did you get a chance to read? I'm off today a little too. Did you get a chance to
Hmm.
re-listen to the episode or have any insight or new perspectives?
Yeah, it just really solidified for me that even though Jay Z, this was supposed to be his farewell album, this was his retirement album. I think it was. I think it kind of opened him up to experiment more. I was like looking into some of the producers, like for instance, Rick Rubin, and I was seeing how he mostly was producing for uh, a lot of rock stars, like rock music, like System of a Down, and then he did 99 Problems with Jay-Z. And I think that maybe that was something that inspired Jay-Z to kind of like expand what he wants to do with music and not stay, stagnant,
Right.
just try different things. So I think grand opening, grand closing, grand opening again.
Right. Um, yeah, I feel like it was a good realization. Like again, just going through his journey and seeing where he is now with it.
Hmm.
And there was Kingdom Come. The next album after that was American Gangster, which for him was kind of reconnecting with his past as a hustler. So I feel like that
Right.
gave him that was his Reasonable Doubt reintroduction that kind of gave him back his
Hmm.
mojo, a little bit of his swag. And I feel like that's when we got like heavy collab Jay-Z, and like you said, this him really experimenting and doing a bit more. Holy Grail, Magna Carta, Blueprint 3, which is just, I think the Blueprint 3 doesn't really get enough credit, I feel, for the diversity and just like the phonics and the sound and the instrumentation. And he even puts it out there for us, right? Like the cover is just all the instruments in white. But I feel like
Right.
people don't really appreciate the value of all the sounds, him getting that auto tunes, which, didn't work out, but he's been a lot, he's been right in a lot of other stuff, which kind of makes me tie into this uh, first topic. What's Jay-Z's legacy for the Black experience so far, but also for hip hop and rap, if you want to be more specific.
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it's hard to determine right now.
Well, I mean, but
Legacy. I
so
don't know.
far, so far,
Right. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what yeah, usually when I hear legacy, I'm like, did he stop? But he hasn't like stopped yet. Um he leaves well, he's not dead, so he hasn't left behind anything quite yet, but there's so much, it's so broad, just collaborating with rock stars, people in like pop punk. Um, I feel like bringing hip hop to this like mainstream place where lots of people are liking it and hearing it for the first time too. Um, but yeah, he just in general just he's just a trendsetter. Like even the whole you like you said the auto tune thing. He got people off auto tune for a little bit, and
right,
then
right.
he was like, "All right, I'm gonna use it," and then they're like, "All right, cool. Guess
When
we
did
can
he
rock with
auto
that for a
tune?
little bit." I think did he do auto tune for which album? I can't remember which album, but I feel like he like did something with auto tune after he said auto tune was whack.
Okay. Um, I guess I'll reply while you search that. I mean, I think so. There's something I thought about this like a few weeks ago.
Hmm.
Thinking about '90s hip hop, the air tension, West Coast tension and beef. The death of Biggie, the death of Pac, and Jay-Z's like emergence into stardom and like
Hmm.
really carrying hip hop on his back. But also, 50 Cent, I mean, New York rap period was like putting hip hop on its back, and then it just incorporated different regions. Midwest, the South really started popping, not really popping. The South has started getting more airplay up north. Cali rap has always been a fan favorite, and I was thinking about Jay as an individual, right? Like big, amazing lyricist and artist, but he was under the wing of Diddy, so there was always going to be
Hmm.
some type of limit. Pac, amazing lyricist, poet, artist, musician, like this multi-talented artist, but he was under the wing of Suge Knight.
Hmm.
So I feel like they would always have some limited potential for how far they would be able to bring hip hop. But Jay-Z being his own person, like really being his own man, like that. We talked about the breakup of Rockefeller and stepping out on his own. Like I feel he like to me he's the godfather of hip hop. He's the one that you have to kiss the ring for in the future because without him, I don't think there would be as many successful individual artists because he laid out the blueprint. He laid out the
Yeah.
blueprint for so much of the experience.
Yeah. And I just recently heard Jay-Z cleared a bunch of music for the game to use.
Yeah. I
And
think seven samples, seven samples.
seven samples, yeah. And the game was just like, yeah. And I was just like, yeah, that's impressive.
I saw a
It's
tweet
cool.
about it, and someone said, what is the game gonna rap about? Miserable doubt.
Yeah, probably.
And honestly, I like the game. I think the game is a dope lyricist. I think he's a dope rapper. I think he's one of like the best rappers from Cali in a minute.
Hmm.
He's weird. He's weird, like most people are. But I think he's a weirdo. He's a weirdo.
Yeah. He's funny because like I used to like him a lot too, but I don't really anymore. But I don't know what he does sometimes with the like you say, he's strange. He just talks too much. You ever hear
Wait,
somebody share too many opinions and you're just kind of like, that's enough.
yeah. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, this doesn't even make
Right.
sense. And yeah. I mean, yeah. Anyway, did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah. So on the Blueprint 3, they used auto tune. Kanye confirmed that.
Did
And
it
that
say
was
which song?
2009. Um oh, it actually looks like it was probably just on the initial sessions.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah, I think it was just on the initial sessions. And in the new interview revealed that the pair actually use auto tune on the initial sessions. However, after they record the single, Jay-Z decided to scrap everything. Okay, so he stood by what he said. He was like, "Nah, forget it,"
Good.
and just scrapped the whole thing.
Real quick, where are you pulling that from? Just to source it.
This source is clashmusic.com.
All right, cool.
Jay-Z talks auto tune.
So yeah, did you have any additional thoughts about his legacy? Yeah, for the Black experience, for hip hop, for music in general.
His legacy is like, I think it's pretty powerful. I know he was trying to get a lot of people currently in the Marcy projects to get into Bitcoin. I don't know how that went though. I know there was some pushback from the people in that community, but he has his hands in so many things, like with the NFL, with smaller nonprofit organizations, and just like supporting young Black men. And just like, I think the best thing I like about Jay-Z is that he grew up, Sometimes
Right.
you see a lot of rappers, they can't kind of let that young mindset go, because they think to have the young mindset, that's the only way to stay relevant. But he's still like you can look at Jay-Z and say, this is a grown man,
Right.
taking care of his family. And he's still a great rapper, It's like him, like even Ice Cube, these guys, they grew up in it and then they grew up. And it
Right.
doesn't, you wouldn't approach Ice Cube and be like, oh, you a punk. Or you would say that to Jay-Z. It wouldn't even make
You might
sense.
nowadays for clout, right?
For clout, yeah, but I don't know if you would mean it. I would never walk up to Ice Cube and say anything like that. I'd be like, you're the man. No matter how
Right.
many silly movies he does, you still like, you have a respect for these guys, because
Right.
at the end of the day, they know, you grow up and things change, but that doesn't mean you have to necessarily turn your back on where you came from, or they always acknowledge like who they've always been and who they are now. So that's definitely something that's cool. Like you can get out of a bad situation, and you can
Right.
straighten up your act.
Yeah, I was thinking about fashion culture.
Mm-hmm.
Jerseys, like when jerseys first came out, and I feel like Maya's "Best of Me" remix with Jay-Z and Maya when they have the Jordan light blue
Yeah,
North Carolina jersey on. Like I feel like that set the trend for jersey culture. And then in the Black album we have Change Clothes, right? And I was like, nah, I'm an adult. Like you said, I'm an adult now. I wear
yeah,
button ups. I was talking to someone on Reddit about, I forgot what we were talking about exactly, but they brought up the like the anime shirts that everyone is wearing, like the
yeah.
Goku and Dragon shirt. I was like, you look at the duality of the Black experience. The hip hop
Mhm.
heads are just wearing button ups, like polo button up, Tommy button ups, whatever. And like nerd and geekdom is wearing like Dragon Ball Z button up, right? Like the culture bleeds into it, but they kind of find their own personality into it.
Yeah.
I just thought that was dope. It's like a dope.
Also, Dragon Ball Z is just like the blackest anime. I feel like I know so many Black people that got really
Because it's
into
the
anime.
first.
After seeing Dragon Ball Z, like my dad used to watch Dragon Ball Z, and he had me watch it with him. Like I have friends that love Dragon Ball Z to this day, and if they see a cool Dragon Ball Z anything, they're like, "Oh, that shit is dope." But yeah, people love Black people especially love Dragon Ball Z. So definitely, I get that. But I would never wear a button-up Dragon Ball Z shirt. That's too much.
Right. Like
That's too
that
much. T-shirt
that
fine.
I don't think I've had any anime shirts. Dragon Ball Z was the first anime I watched. When I saw those shirts, I was like, nah, that's a little too much for me. Right now.
Yeah,
That's a little
definitely. Yeah, because you can envision a person that would be wearing a button-down anime shirt, like they have on the wireframe glasses, probably a small little afro they didn't comb out in the front too good.
you know this person personally, huh? This is someone you know.
I went to a college, preparatory, high school in a Black neighborhood. 40% of the dudes that went there were probably owned, but Dragon Ball Z button-down shirts. So
Yeah.
I'm speaking from experience.
And like also just thinking about growing up, like starting with Dragon Ball Z for me, and at some point like I watched Cowboy Bebop, and then like I just wanted more
Mhm.
mature anime. There's an anime I used to watch called Space Brothers. It's about these two
Uh-huh.
older brothers who made a pact to be astronauts together. And like it just kind of took me into like this new mindset of I'm older now. I don't want to watch fighting and powering up. I don't really care about any of that. Like give me
Mhm.
a rich story. And that's part
Yeah.
of growing up. That's part of changing clothes and all that. So yeah, it's interesting like to see the timelines of when different cultures and subcultures like how they evolve, and like everyone's always doing the same thing. I think realistically, but you just
But
kind of do it.
differently.
Right. The
Yeah.
subcultures that do it just do it differently.
I don't know if you saw that, but Jazzo co-signed what I just said about Black kids with the button-up shirts. We went to high school together, so she knows.
And Chico Fontaine, Echo actually the anime comic related lines before it was everywhere. Yeah, I remember. Did Echo do it before, like the what do you call that?
New York?
Journeys, yeah, Zoo
Oh,
York, Zoomias, and all those stores. I'm trying to like I remember Echo had like good quality ones, right? And I'm thinking
yeah,
about like
definitely.
Iceberg when Iceberg had Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse and everything. And I know there are other brands doing licensing deals, but I'm trying to remember when the smaller Nook stores started like doing those.
I can't even like spell Echo the way that it's supposed to be spelled. Is what is it? ECKO for the brand, right?
Yeah,
I typed it, I couldn't pull anything up to see.
Echo Unlimited.
Oh, maybe that's why I didn't put the UNLTD.
Well, no, well maybe it's the browser. When I searched Echo, that was the first thing that came up. But I use like a secondary browser.
Oh, okay. See, I did find something. It looks like people are selling button down anime shirts on Poshmark. If you wanted one.
How much is the average one going for? I'm just interested.
$20.
$20.
But it's sold out, so good luck to you on
There's a
finding
culture
that.
for it, man.
Yeah.
Chico Fontaine is saying that Echo definitely did it first. Cool. Um, so next question is, during the episode we talked about the ego of like New York City rap. You don't rep New York
Mhm.
City as a whole. You rep your borough. Not even your borough. You rep your projects. You rep your block. Cameron is always talking about 125th, 145th, 140th. You rep those small
Mhm.
pockets of your area and sometimes your borough. And we challenge the idea of ego, like ego. And earlier I was thinking like it doesn't feel too unique. Like West Coast has Compton, Bompton, um, I can't remember the names anymore. LBC and all that.
Mhm.
So like what's different about like the New York ego and New York separatism compared to other cities and regions?
I think we talked about this. We talked about this on the podcast, but like we said, everybody reps their own hood. So with New York City in general, people get so specific about where exactly they're repping, whether it be Harlem, Brooklyn, where it be specifically Marcy Projects. So it's like I feel from borough to borough it's different. Even with like Wu-Tang Clan and like Mace. Mace was a big person that repped Harlem, like you said, Cameron, Joel Santana. So definitely depending on where you're from in New York City, like I feel like the swag is a little bit different. I think Chico Fontaine would probably say like Harlem swagger is very, very different from Brooklyn. So
Absolutely.
you can always, yeah. So you like sometimes how you sometimes you could tell, like especially if you're in the city, you see some guy and you're like, yeah, that guy's from Brooklyn, and like or sometimes you see like a girl and she says something specific, you're like, yeah, she's from the Bronx, and if you ask her, she's like, yeah, she's from the Bronx, but like, yeah, it's definitely one of those things where like everyone's swagger is so different from borough to borough, from neighborhood to neighborhood, even like not even just borough, like if you met somebody that was from Bed-Stuy versus Brownsville
Right.
versus East New York. So definitely, yeah. Like if you met Jazzo, you would know, like, oh, yeah, she's from Harlem. Like you could tell. So I think like that's always the most interesting about New York City, how much it varies from borough to borough.
Yeah, right. Chico Fontaine said that Fubu started with Fat Albert, then Iceberg and Echo, and then he said he's old, so he knows best. And yeah, definitely, you said it's the nature of the city itself. I think for most of us, from pre-K or whatever to about junior high school, not even
Hmm.
pre-K through high school, we stay within our borough, so we know everyone. We
Yeah.
know what it sounds like. I went to Marine Park, which is a white neighborhood. I even,
Hmm.
I know what the white people in Marine Park sound like compared to a white person on 72nd or whatever. And then
Yeah.
in high school, we all finally integrate throughout the city. And innately, right, I stick with my Brooklyn people.
Right.
I have a friend who lives in LES, and I
Hmm.
have one of my boys who lives in the Bronx. That's it. Like everyone else is Brooklyn. Like every other
Yeah.
borough gets one person at most. Like that's the most. I like. Yeah, it's a weird energy. It's a weird energy.
It definitely is. You're right. Like you start to, without even realizing, gravitate towards people that like you know what? It's probably similar upbringing. Like like Robert is from Harlem, but when I met him, he was living in Florida for 6 years, and then he came back, and then I'm like, he was gone for 6 years, and you could still tell he was from
It's
Harlem.
it's in the
Like
blood. It's in.
it's in your blood. It's crazy.
It's like muscle memory, right? Like as soon as you hit the block, everything that comes back to you, like the swag,
Yeah.
the walk, the demeanor, everything that's automatically comes back to it, back to you.
Yeah, definitely. Like if I tell if I tell a white person I'm from Harlem, they're like, "Oh, it's interesting." But if you like say that to somebody that's like from one of the boroughs, like the Bronx, maybe they're like, "Yeah, I could tell."
Right.
But last night I was watching Saved by the Bell, and it's really funny because there's an episode where Jesse has a stepbrother named Eric, and he's from New York, and the accent they give is
Terrible.
so terrible. He's just like
What did you say last episode? Was it terrible? Was it, what word was it?
terrible, horrible. And then I told you I got made fun of for how I say Wednesday.
Yeah, it was Wednesday. Like,
Wednesday.
it was terrible.
Terrible, horrible. I like eliminated those words from my vocabulary for a long time because I was tired of people saying, "Why you say it like that?"
Right.
But the stepbrother, his name is Eric. He's from New York, and he has this just a strange. He's like, "Yeah, my name's Eric. I'm from New York," and I'm like, "What part of New York are you from?" Because that
Ew.
does not sound right. It doesn't sound like anything from like some kind of daycare center. It sounded like he was from in New York City. He sounded like a big baby.
I feel like those were kind of the voices they did in like the early '80s. Or I feel like that's like an '80s New York voice.
Yeah, it was like Italian leaning,
Right.
but not overdone, so it was weird. So it's like, why did you pick this accent specifically to be what represents New York? To the point where like if I leave the country and people ask me where I'm from, they'll be like, "Oh, but you don't have a New York accent." And I'm like, "Yes, I do, but you just watch too much TV."
Right, right.
They want
Or
me to
like,
sound like somebody named Vinny, and I don't.
do you feel like you like? I guess going back to like language and tone, do you feel like you code switch in different places? Like in terms, like do you feel you are the same person like on this microphone compared to like work or with friends?
Um, at work, hell no.
Okay.
But like on here, yeah. Um, I think I am more careful about what I say because I
Right.
don't want to be misconstrued. Because I have a time limit too. I don't want to, say something and I have to spend the next 25 minutes explaining exactly what I meant.
Sometimes
But
you gotta. It's okay.
yeah,
we,
I mean,
we got
yeah,
time.
right. But then I'm like, let me think and be like, concise.
Right, right, right.
But at work, definitely I have to code switch a little bit because, it's a professional environment and I can't be like, yo, what's going on, Mr. So-and-so? How was
Right.
your weekend? I can't say it like that. But people can still tell. Like the majority of the time, they're like, I was talking to a young African American woman on the phone. I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah. Do you feel like you code switch in certain situations?
Hell yeah. It's I feel like all this talk of like authenticity is kind of finding like
Hmm.
your the true version of yourself that you feel truly comfortable with.
Right.
And for me, it's ebonics, like talking ebonics, talking to like friends, and just like whatever I need to say, like no filter, I can just let it out.
Right.
And like everyone gets it. But yeah, I don't talk. I think I do more typing for work than I do talking,
Hmm.
and even that's a challenge at times because I know I write very direct, and I'm always conscious that it might come off too heavy for people because people
Right.
are sensitive. And I
Yeah.
was thinking about thinking about that today. Um, yeah, I think like those are like my two main like what do you call them? Like polar opposites. Like my
Hmm.
resorting back to childhood comfort and then just work and like everything else is just like a nice buffer in between. Like how I talk to my mother, my sister,
Right.
Erica. Yeah.
I call it the duality of man, but I call everything the duality of man. I'm like, oh, this
Everything
is
is a
what I want to
duality,
work.
right?
Right. I'm like, this is what I want to work. This is what I want Saturday. And I'll be like, the duality of man. And it's like, no,
Duality,
Tati, you gotta go to
man.
work. Yeah.
So, which biasly, not even biasly, I said in the last episode, Jay-Z for me is the top rapper. Um, so matter of fact, let's do this, right? Let's go through every borough and like pick a favorite rapper. Um, start with Brooklyn. I'll go with Jay-Z.
I'll say
Who do you
Jay-Z
have?
too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Manhattan.
Uh um I don't know. I've been listening to Cameron a little bit more lately because Robert's a big fan of Cameron, but he gets on my nerves. But I listen to him and I'm like, he's funny as hell. And I like
Right.
funny. But I don't think I have a favorite like Manhattan rapper. I have a favorite Queens rapper. I'll say it was LL Cool J. I love LL Cool J.
We're
I
not
think
doing Queens yet. We're doing Manhattan first. I gotta
I don't
go,
have one for Manhattan.
and then we go to the next one.
Oh my
Um,
God, you didn't even say who it was for Manhattan. I'm just like, let's move on. I don't know.
right. You
Let's
like
just move
I
on.
don't have one, so I don't care. Let's move on,
No
Clifford.
way, no way Clifford can have one. There's no way he has one if I
Uh,
don't.
I go with Cameron. But also like Cameron is probably one. You want to say Cameron. Chico Fontaine says to you, yo. Honestly, Cameron, I think is like probably one in my top 10, 15 list.
Hmm.
Just for like longevity in the game, his influence on culture, bars. People joke on Cameron's bars, but yo, he be.
He's
Last
funny.
episode, yeah, last episode I said liquid drip. It's supposed to be lyrical drip. I was in the moment, but yeah, you were right. It was supposed to be lyrical drip. Cameron. I'm doing a New York baby talk. Cameron is another Cameron. Cameron is another lyrical drip artist.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
he's too funny, man.
yeah. Mace, like, how did you feel about Mace though? Did you like Mace growing up?
I like I like Mace. I always thought Mace was cool. I think I don't know if this is true. My aunt used to tell me that she used to babysit Mace when she was a teenager. I don't know if she was telling the truth though. Um but I like Mace. I like it that his flow is so slow.
Right.
'Cause everybody's
Fabulous.
such a rush.
Loon. Yeah.
Where's
Uh,
Busta Rhymes from? I'm sorry
he's,
to
he's he's from Brooklyn. He's from Brooklyn. He's from
oh,
Flatbush. Yeah.
nice.
So
I like
Queens, you said LL.
I like LL Cool J. I like Run DMC. Um, I feel so bad now because I really don't think about New York rappers as much as I thought I did.
Just think about your block. I mean, that's the Harlem in you, right? Like that's
Not
that's
even. I
how.
just think a lot about Kanye West because when you
Okay,
started the question, thought you were gonna say who do you think is your fan, and I was gonna be like Kanye West, obviously. But then you were like,
obviously.
and I was like, oh damn,
Uh,
who for you from Queens?
Queens is Chico Fontaine said she probably did Mace's from his old block.
Oh,
Mace.
maybe
Yeah.
she did.
Nasir Jones. I think before I even I talked about liking Memphis Bleak initially, and along with liking Memphis Bleak, I like Nas just because he's like, he's conscious rap, but he delivers it in a more poetic and consumable, entertaining way. Um, so yeah, Nasir Jones just for like the zone, like to really get in the zone. Yeah. LL is
He's
definitely
also
up there. Go ahead.
yeah. I was gonna say Nas is also a very good example of the duality of man because he can do both.
Both
Because
what?
he did Uchiwali.
He goes, is it Uchi Wally Wally or is it one Mike? Is it Black Girl Lost or Shorty owe you for ice? I
It's
don't know. I
both.
don't know, man. Right? I mean, yeah, Nas is out here promoting Hennessy. I don't know. I don't know, right?
Is
People,
he?
people, yeah, he has a partnership with Hennessy. He's had a partnership with Hennessy for years.
Damn, I don't be paying attention.
I
I
mean,
did not know that. I don't
it's
drink
it's
that stuff.
it's weird to me. Jazzo says, I'm realizing I don't know what borough anyone is from except for Harlem rappers. I'm a stereotype.
Same.
Damn, see? Like you only know about your block.
Yep.
That's what I
And
feel
Harlem
like
is a borough, is what she just said. Harlem is a borough.
Harlem go from like 170th all the way down to the LA. That's just one thing.
Yeah.
Or is Harlem its own borough? It's Manhattan, it's Harlem, and it's the Bronx. Is Harlem its own separate borough within Manhattan?
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that
Uh,
100%.
it's funny to me to hear that because it shows. I feel like Brooklyn is more community oriented than
Mhm.
like Manhattan. I mean, what other areas of Manhattan are like have a high black population?
Um, none of them. Harlem is pretty much, I feel
Oh,
like it. I
I
feel at one
I agree.
point, Lower East Side had a lot of like people of color, like a lot of Black and Latinos,
Yeah,
but then they kind of got pushed out.
right.
Um, yeah, but it's pretty much Harlem, Washington Heights to some extent, but not really.
Cheek, I saw you join the chat. If you want to jump back in, feel free to. Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like there's always been tension. At least growing up for me in Brooklyn, there's always been tension with Hispanic people and Black people. I don't know if Harlem and the Heights has that issue. Um,
Hmm. I
but
don't think so. There's nothing I sense.
okay. Might just be a Brooklyn. Maybe there's too many Black people in Brooklyn, and the Hispanics don't like that. I don't know. So we did Queens. What we have next? The Bronx.
Hmm.
Big Pun. I give it to Big Pun. Yeah, I give it to Big Pun.
I'm gonna say Cardi B.
Okay. You're gonna say it or you're gonna believe it?
I'm gonna
Yes.
believe Cardi B.
Okay.
I live not far from the Big Pun mural. I live across the street from it, so not far at all.
There's like one main mural.
Yeah, it's one famous mural that they did a Big Pun on. between Intervale and Westchester Avenue. And it's like, I see it every morning when I go to work. So they love Big Pun here.
Chico, give us 1 second. I'm just gonna do this last. This gonna do Staten Island, and I'll let you in. What about Staten Island? And I feel like for Staten Island, this goes down to Wu-Tang, right? And
Yes,
I always
Wu-Tang.
I always say that with Wu-Tang, as a crew, anyone can have their favorite individual artist and it be valid.
Mhm.
Like that's how dope every single one of them are. So I'll let you say your first. I'm assuming it's a Wu-Tang artist, but who's your favorite artist
I
from
like
Staten Island?
I like RZA.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I just want to add this. When I was a kid, I didn't know his name was RZA. And I said to my cousin, I like RZA. And he was
I
like,
like
what did you
RZA.
say to
I get that.
I said RZA, and he was like, broadcasted it to everybody that was like in the cause it was like a party at my grandma's house. He was like, she just
Right.
said she RZA to all my like cousins, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. Then I found out it was RZA. So
You learn, and it was RZA, it was Jizza. I feel like there was someone else with it. I go with Raekwon the chef. For me, he's like a nice mix of Nas with some of like Jay-Z swag. Chico, welcome to the room, man.
Hey guys.
what's up?
You want to go through your favorite rappers from each borough?
Sure. So Manhattan will be either Cam or Dougie Fresh. Still Harlem all day. For Brooklyn, Jay-Z. Queens is Nas as well. The Bronx, most likely Pun. Yeah, pretty much Pun. And for Staten Island, it would be Meth. Meth is hands down my favorite member of the rule.
Where's Big L from?
He's from Harlem. He's from 140th.
Okay.
That's where his mural was at. But yeah, that would be my favorite from each borough.
Do you want to jump back into any of the previous topics? Jay-Z's legacy, or do you want to talk about NYC rap being so divided by borough?
In regards to Jay's legacy, I feel like I think when it's all said and done, one thing about his legacy that's gonna really stand out, like you guys touched on it with the whole, like he works with the NFL partnerships and the things like that. Like he does a lot of stuff, but I think a lot of people still, even though he even says it in his music, a lot of people still don't pick up on all the things that he actually like says and all the information he gives and like promotes. Like, I can't remember which album it is, but he even says it. I think it's on, I think it's Magna Carta. And he's giving you this information for like $3.99, basically, because he gives a lot of information. Like if you listen to his lyrics, he promotes investing and, buying art, real estate, all these things like that, are ways to make money, but people just, they just listen to the lyrics and they move on. So I think his legacy will ultimately be, I think at this point, he is the greatest rapper alive. It's a toss up between him and Wayne, but his legacy, I feel, will be very much, people will realize just how, influential and conscious he was. Like, because, you mentioned Nas being a conscious rapper. Jay's a very conscious rapper, but people don't see it. He said it, he used to rap like Common and he sold 6 million. He ain't rap like Common since. Like, so it's definitely, I think that'll be a big part of his legacy. And in regards to like everything being so segmented or like divided when it comes to rap from New York, I don't think it's any more than any other place. It just stands out more here because that's the nature of the city itself. Like you guys mentioned it, when you're from here, you grow up in like you can tell a person from Brooklyn, you can tell a person from Queens, and it's just the city is a giant melting pot, and it's so every area is completely different. So that's why the rap game is so segmented, in my opinion, because it's just the nature of the city. You know, it's like we currently live, we're like 20 minutes from Harlem, where we grew up, but it's a completely different world over here than it is, in Harlem or even in Spanish Harlem, where there's a lot of Puerto Ricans, just like there's a lot of Puerto Rican people over here, but it's a completely different vibe between here and Spanish Harlem and here in Washington Heights. And that's just the city itself. So when it comes to rap from the city, it really just stands out more because it's more obvious, especially when it's as New Yorkers listening to New York rap, it really stands out more. Like you can even hear it and see it, like, and like you mentioned, in the rap itself from, because like, someone from East New York is different from like, they carry themselves different than someone from Bed-Stuy. And you can see that in the rappers that come from the areas. Like, Cam and Mace grew up a few blocks apart, but 140th is a completely different world than, the 130s where Mace grew up, and you can hear it in their rap. You can hear it in their flows.
Right. I feel like the higher you go up, the harder it is, right? Like Mace has a more softer, relaxed voice. You go up a few blocks. Is it? Do you feel like it's more harder, like the higher up you go in the numbers?
It's not the higher up you go in the numbers. It's really just, the where the area, like just it's kind of like how the cards may fall, because it's like, so at one point in time, Cam's block was considered the worst block in America. 140th between 7th and Lenox was the number one worst block in America. It's the same block that Big L is from. I think Big L was from 139th, but dudes was hustling and doing their thing all over Harlem, but it's just because 40th was such a thick block with activity. It was, you see that in how people carry themselves. Like, so, and then it also comes down to like different things, like, because no matter where you go or like what block you're from in Harlem, it's always flashing. So it's really just, it's not necessarily the higher up you go. It's kind of like how the cards may fall. Like it really just depends on, where like the vibe, so to speak, of a particular block.
Yeah.
So this is something I've maybe thought about, but you both are from Harlem. Do Harlem blocks have beef with each other?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay. Like what are some major beefs that you both have been aware of? And
I don't know if any.
Is it just go ahead, guys?
I don't know if any like major beefs, but like I grew up in the Polo Grounds, and I know they used to beef a lot with the kids in Wrangell and the Colonials, versus the kids that grew up on Bradhurst in that like small area between probably like 153rd Street to like 149th Street. But even though I grew up in the projects, I still grew up kind of like sheltered. So I don't like really know that much as opposed to like the beefs that were happening. But I definitely know we had kids from other schools come to my school to beef because we specifically went to that school. And I know Robert but you lived like a block away from me for a little bit. And that was definitely a different vibe from you if you would had to have gone into the Polo Grounds.
Yeah.
And that was one block.
Yeah, like I can't think of any major beefs, but it's definitely, blocks stick to themselves.
Right.
So like if you're like, so like take for example, like Cam and them, they're from the 140s. It's a completely, who's from your block. it literally comes down to that. Like, you know who's from your block, you know who's from, you know, your surrounding blocks. So when it comes down to, like, you know, someone's not from your, like, you recognize, you see, you're like, who's this? So it's always been like that. Like I said, I'm old. So, like, I remember it being like the 80s was a crazy time. Like, you know, I grew up a few blocks from St. Nick Projects, where like Teddy Riley's from. And, you know, I could go into St. Nick and, you know, feel fine and all that because people knew me. People recognized me. People knew my brothers. People, you know, knew my aunts and uncles and stuff like that. But it was a completely different world when I went uptown and I had to go to Polo Grounds, or even like going up to the block that I grew up on in my teenage years, because we used to visit there, and it was like, it literally feels like a completely different world. And it's just because Manhattan is so, because of the grid system, and, you know, everyone literally knows who's from their block. And it really just came down to that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember. Oh, just real quick. I honestly, I've never been cool with anyone from Harlem, so I'm aware of like what goes on up there, but I've never known like the intricacies of like how things played out.
Yeah.
The 37, just like really getting confirmation about it. But yeah, like no different from Brooklyn also. You stay with your block, you stay with your hood, your projects. But you know, like blood and Crip culture kind of changed all that. What you gonna say, Chauncey?
When I was like, I think when I was maybe 13, 14, I was walking home from school one day with a group of kids, and some kids that lived on Bradhurst ran up to one of the kids I was with, and like, you know, they tried to jump him. And one of my girlfriends was like, don't touch him. And he was like, oh, what are you going to do? And she said, I'm from Polo Grounds. And he backed off. And I was like, oh,
affiliation is powerful, right? Affiliation is powerful.
Yeah, definitely. Because they left the kid alone. He wasn't even from Polo Grounds, but they left him alone when they heard her say that she was from there. Right. They're like, all right, we'll leave it alone. But yeah, you'd be surprised. It's weird, but it's like, I don't know.
All right, so let's jump into our last topic. What's your favorite Jay-Z collab, and do you think it made the artist better? This is your question. Did you have one already in the chamber, Tati?
Oh yes, absolutely. Okay. I think
be ready for
my favorite collab that Jay-Z's ever done is with Kanye. I feel like Jay-Z and Kanye are such a good duo, and I wish that they were still doing music and like music in general together, because when Kanye was producing for Jay-Z, all of them, like I was looking it up, he produced Takeover, he produced Lucifer, he produced Encore, and all those songs are just amazing. And even when Jay-Z's featured on Kanye songs like Never Let Me Down and even Diamonds from Sierra Leone, while Jay-Z's just being featured, they don't feel like features. It feels like like it's a duo. So when they did The Throne, I was like, this is heaven. I love this. So I really miss them working together. I know their relationship kind of probably got a little bit strange. Like Big Brother, you know, Kanye wrote Big Brother about Jay-Z, and you mentioned the line earlier too. But yeah, I really, 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 really like them together. And I wish that they would do music together, but who knows if that'll ever happen again. I can't hear you, Clifford.
There we go. Sorry, I was muted. That Otis video, I feel like that Otis video really solidified the bond and the magic that those two could create.
Yeah.
And like for me, it was the first time like seeing Jay-Z like really happy and laughing and smiling, like, you know, they in the messed up Lamborghini, and they're just having a ball. So yeah, I definitely feel that. I feel like Kanye would be default, but I want to stretch it a little bit and think about it. Do you have anyone, Chico?
My actual favorite Jay-Z collab, because I agree with you with the Kanye thing. Like, especially because he had Kanye is such a he's such a good collaborator. But
He
my
is.
my personal favorite Jay-Z collab is I'm gonna shout out Jazz, Linkin Park. Collision Course was an amazing album.
I never listened to the whole thing in full, but there was definitely some
It it's
boppage
amazing.
happening.
It's the it took what Run DMC did with Aerosmith, some 30 odd years earlier, and took it to a whole nother level. And it's literally a whole album of his music, his songs matched up with their songs with cross production, and it's amazing. Like
Yeah,
it was literally, and that played on Linkin Park's whole hybrid theory, nature of, they were rock and rap. And it's
yeah,
just like that was an amazing, amazing collaboration.
definitely.
I'm I don't know if this could be considered a collab, but the MTV Unplugged with like the Roots, Questlove, not well, maybe not this Roots, Questlove, and I'm not sure the woman I was singing for him. Let me pull that up. But I think that album's probably my favorite Jay Z project overall. Um, Most likely I know I'll never see him. Could you mute real quick if you have sirens? I know I'll never see him in concert, so like that's the closest to like a concert I feel like I'll ever get in my life. But it's just it's a much like it's a more relaxed, intimate vibe. I feel like those MTV plugged eras or like those tapings are like probably some of the best forms of artistry that have come out of hip hop, and you see a lot of it now with not like Nas did the I think the I Am album with the National Symphony. You see a lot of artists like having live bands in their feature. Like Joe Budden is one of the first artists I've gone to multiple times who has always had a live band. So presenting hip hop and rap with like live music, I feel like it really once again elevated the potential and the potential sound for the music.
Still sirens.
Okay. Right, I don't have anything else. You want to add anything, or you have any you want to add anything else, Tati, or you have any feedback from the episode, Robert?
We still got sirens.
Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, like, so I guess I'll pull up the MTV plugged. So it's Questlove drums. He was the producer. Singer, vocals was Jaguar Wright. Yeah, I can like remember that.
Oh, Jaguar Wright. I was
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah,
reading
yeah,
something
yeah.
about her recently. Have you been watching any of the Tiny Desk concerts, Clifford?
Nah, I've seen them, but I've
Uh-huh.
never like watched. Yeah,
You should watch them. They do a lot of because MTV Unplugged doesn't exist anymore because it's just Rob Dyrdek TV at this point. But you should definitely check out some of the Tiny Desk concerts. I remember the first time I heard T Pain's Tiny Desk concert, and I was like floored because he was great. Meg The Stallion did one. Usher just recently did one. So they're definitely you should definitely check out some Tiny Desk concerts because there's some pretty good stuff on there too.
I already found it on NPR. I'll add it to the queue. I'm still waiting for my playlist,
Mhm.
also, by the way.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
All right. Anything else on either of your ends?
Nothing on my end. I definitely think that, I get what you were saying with Jay kind of being like the Godfather at this point. I just wanted to, acknowledge that. And, you know, he is he's done so much. I feel, and like I said it earlier, I feel like it's very much somewhat going unnoticed. Like all the things that he did. At the end of the day, it's gonna be, people will really notice it once he stops rapping for good. Which is what the Black Album was supposed to be.
Right.
But it's just that's really it.
Uh, I was thinking about this week, and while listening to this album, I was thinking about when Biggie died. Brooklyn erupted with like love and passion, dancing in the street. And I feel like when Jay-Z died, there won't be that energy because Brooklyn is just too gentrified, right? They won't be able to honor him the same way, the way he deserves to be honored. Thinking about the future, hoping that maybe at some point a Jay-Z day or something to like commemorate everything he's done for the rap, but most importantly, just this Brooklyn and his little nook, and I guess it's Bed-Stuy or Bushwick area, yeah.
I want Jay-Z to live until he's 90.
This would be an old man with like the Godfather.
I want some old rappers. I want old rappers
rapping about Depends. Appreciate your time, Chico. I'm gonna let you out, Chico, so we can transition. Appreciate you, man. Peace. So yeah, you want old rappers? Like 90
I want old rappers. I want 75-year-old rappers, 80-year-old rappers. I don't want any more, young rappers dying. Old.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I want them to just live a long, long life.
I just thought you meant you want an old rapper, like someone old rapping about
no, I don't
being old.
No, I don't want some 90-year-old man to start rapping, but if he wants to, I'll believe in him enough. But right. I just want all of our rappers to live until they're senior citizens and like can retire and watch their families grow up and have grandkids and great grandkids. Yeah.
Yeah. Rest in peace to XXXTentacion, Pac, Biggie, and Juice WRLD. So many people, man. Yeah. It's really sad. Jay said, y'all killed X, let Zimmerman live. And just thinking about, like right now, hip hop is just killing the young, right? Young Von, like all these young rappers just getting murdered before, murdered, dying. Juice WRLD wasn't a murder, but just dying before they really have a chance to peak and really showcase their artistry. And it just feels like hip hop is repeating itself. And a lot to what Robert was saying is, people just not listening to the message, right? They're chasing what they want to chase instead of chasing what they need to chase.
Exactly.
Jazzo says she wants them performing at night. Yo, like just like in Las Vegas, right? I want
Tony Bennett. I
want old ass Stiff Nas rapping, in a wheelchair, whatever. Thank you, Jazzo, for being in the chat. Thanks, Rob, for joining. Our next episode launches next Thursday, July 14th. We're doing season 1 of Rock. Beautiful, heavy show. Thanks for rocking out. Thanks for rocking out with us. Until next time, peace. Jazzo wants them in tracks. I like that. Old mafioso type. I like that. All right, peace, y'all.
Bye.